You are looking for the inner chaos technique, a method for forging an unbreakable mind, and I will give it to you. But I must deliver a severe warning before we proceed. This is not a guide to finding peace. It is not a path to placid tranquility or a balm for your anxieties. What Friedrich Nietzsche proposed is not a technique for comfort, but a philosophy of controlled demolition. It is a dangerous method for turning your own inner battlefield into the very source of your greatest, most terrifying power. It is the art of giving birth to a dancing star out of the chaos in your own soul. So I must ask you a question that cuts deeper than you might be prepared for. Why, after all your efforts to build a life of predictable order, after meticulously constructing walls to keep out the pain and the uncertainty, do you feel more fragile than ever before? Why does the slightest criticism seem to dismantle you? Why does the smallest setback feel like a total, systemic collapse? You have followed all the rules for a stable life, yet you feel like glass, ready to shatter at the slightest touch. The truth is, you have been lied to. You have been sold a vision of strength that is, in fact, the blueprint for ultimate weakness. And tonight, we will not just expose that lie, we will burn it to the ground. Because to become unbreakable, you must first have the courage to embrace the one thing you have been taught to fear your entire life. The magnificent, creative, and utterly savage chaos that rages within you. Let us begin by diagnosing the disease. The modern world has taught you to worship at a single altar, the altar of comfort. From the moment you were born, you were conditioned to believe that a good life is a life free from friction, a life without struggle, without pain, without internal conflict. You have been trained to see your own negative emotions, your anger, your sorrow, your envy, your despair, not as vital signals, but as malfunctions in the system. They are glitches to be patched with therapy, medicated with pills, or numbed with endless distraction. Your goal has become the creation of a perfectly serene, ordered, and painless inner world. Nietzsche had a name for the human being who achieves this goal. He did not call him strong. He did not call him enlightened. He called him the last man. The last man is the ultimate product of this comfort worship. He is the one who seeks only warmth, security, and a long life. He avoids anything that might disturb his equilibrium. He takes no great risks, feels no great passions, and dreams no great dreams. He has his little pleasure for the day and his little pleasure for the night. He looks at the striving, the struggling, the ambitious, and he blinks. He cannot comprehend why anyone would choose difficulty over ease. For the last man, the entire purpose of life is to eliminate suffering. Does this sound familiar? It is the unspoken gospel of our age. It is the promise whispered by every advertisement, every self-help guru, every sanitized ideology. They promise you a life without chaos. What they are truly offering you is the life of the last man. And Nietzsche viewed this creature with a contempt that was absolute. Why? Because a creature that cannot endure suffering cannot create anything of value. A mind that has eliminated all its inner conflict has also eliminated all its inner dynamism. It is a flat sea. Nothing can be born from it. You have been taught to become a small, tidy, well-kept garden. But Nietzsche knew that true strength, the kind that can withstand the storms of existence, does not grow in a garden. It grows in the heart of a raging volcano. The problem is not that you have chaos inside you. The problem is that you have been taught to be terrified of it. You have been commanded to suppress the very energy that is the source of all life, all creativity, all growth. You have been trying to build a fortress of peace when you were meant to be forging a weapon of power. This is the foundational error, and it is the reason you are so fragile. You have spent your life running from the fire, when the entire point was to learn how to walk through it. So, how do we begin this rebellion? How do we stop being the last man and start becoming something more? The first step is not an action, but a radical shift in perspective. It is the most potent weapon in Nietzsche's arsenal, a concept so demanding it can break a weak spirit or forge an unbreakable one. He called it Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. This is not a gentle, passive acceptance. It is not shrugging your shoulders and saying, "It is what it is." That is resignation, and resignation is the language of the weak. Amor Fati is an active, passionate, and ferocious embrace of everything that happens to you. As Nietzsche himself wrote, it is the desire that nothing should be different, not forwards, not backwards, not in all eternity. It is the conscious decision to not just bear what is necessary, but to love it. To love the joy and the agony, the triumph and the catastrophe, the creation and the destruction. It is to look upon your life in its entirety, with all its scars and horrors, and say, yes, again, forever. Think about how you operate now. When something terrible happens, a betrayal, a failure, a loss, what is your first instinct? You resist. You cry out, "This should not be happening." You fight against reality. You curse your fate. You drown in resentment. In that moment of resistance, you are giving the event absolute power over you. Your struggle against it is what drains your energy. Your refusal to accept it is what allows the pain to lodge itself deep within your soul, where it festers and turns into bitterness. You are weakened not by the event itself, but by your war against it. Amor Fati is the cessation of this internal war. It is a declaration that you would not have your life be any different. Why? Because every single event, no matter how painful, was a necessary ingredient in the creation of you. To wish away a single one of your past sufferings is to wish that you were a different person today. It is a form of self-rejection. To practice Amor Fati is to understand that the universe is not your enemy. It is the forge, the chaos, the hardship, the suffering. These are not punishments. They are the hammer and the fire. Without the crushing pressure, the carbon never becomes a diamond. Without the intense heat, the iron is never tempered into steel. You have been trying to avoid the very processes that were meant to make you strong. You have been praying for the forge to cool down, when you should have been learning to withstand its heat. This is the first technique for an unbreakable mind. You stop fighting reality. You begin to will it. When misfortune strikes, you do not see it as a cosmic injustice. You see it as another necessary blow of the hammer. You greet it not with a whimper, but with a warrior's affirmation. You learn to say, "This too? Good. This is fuel. This will make me stronger." By loving your fate, you absorb the energy of every event. You transmute what would have destroyed a lesser person into the raw material for your own growth. The poison becomes the medicine. The obstacle becomes the way. Nothing can break you if you have willed its existence. It can no longer be an external force acting upon you. It becomes an integrated part of your own triumphant story. This is the first taste of divine power, but it is only the beginning. Once you have learned to love the chaos outside, you must turn to face the far more terrifying chaos within. This is where we descend into the deepest, most challenging, and most liberating of Nietzsche's insights. It is the core of the entire philosophy, and it is here that the unbreakable mind is truly born. You have been operating under a fundamental illusion about who you are. You believe there is a single, unified entity called you, or the self. You think of your mind as a kingdom ruled by a single monarch, your conscious will. Nietzsche demolishes this idea. He reveals that your psyche is not a kingdom, it is a chaotic democracy, a battlefield, a community of warring factions. What you call yourself is not a single entity, but a teeming, roiling multiplicity of drives, passions, instincts, and perspectives, each one fighting for dominance, each one hungry for power. Your drive for security is at war with your drive for adventure. Your desire for love is at war with your fear of vulnerability. Your ambition is at war with your laziness. Your compassion is at war with your cruelty. This internal chaos is not a sign of brokenness. It is the human condition. Now, what does the last man do when faced with this inner war? He suppresses it. He chooses one drive, usually the drive for safety and comfort, the herd instinct, and declares it to be the good and true self. He then wages a brutal war against all his other drives, labeling them as bad, sinful, or irrational. He spends his entire life force trying to crush his own nature into a state of artificial peace. He becomes a tyrant over himself, and in doing so, he castrates himself. He cuts himself off from the very sources of his vitality. His unbreakable wall of order is a prison wall, and he is both the prisoner and the guard. The path to true strength, the path of what Nietzsche called the Übermensch. The Overman is the exact opposite. The unbreakable mind is not the mind that has silenced its inner conflict. It is the mind that has mastered it. True strength is not the absence of inner chaos. It is the orchestration of it. Your task is not to become a pacified kingdom. Your task is to become the brilliant, ruthless, and visionary commander of your own inner army. You do not kill your soldiers. You do not imprison them. You recognize the unique power of each one. You see the utility in your anger, the propulsive force in your envy, the creative potential in your despair. You see your ambition not as a sin, but as a powerful engine. You see your fear not as a weakness, but as a valuable intelligence officer. To become this commander is the great work of self-overcoming. It is the process of taking the chaotic raw material of your nature and giving it style. You impose your own higher will upon the pandemonium. You channel the raw energy of your warring drives away from self-destruction and toward a single, self-created, magnificent goal. This is the meaning behind Nietzsche's most famous declaration from Thus Spoke Zarathustra. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The chaos is the raw, explosive, primordial energy of your drives. The dancing star is the new, beautiful, and transcendent system of values that you create. It is your life's great work. It is the purpose you forge for yourself. You do not find yourself. You are not a static object to be discovered. You are a process to be mastered, a work of art to be sculpted, and the clay is your own inner chaos. The unbreakable mind, therefore, is not a rigid, fortified mind. That is a brittle mind, a mind that will shatter under pressure. The unbreakable mind is a creative, dynamic, dancing mind. It is a mind that has learned to harness the power of its own inner storms. It can withstand any external pressure because it has already mastered the far greater pressures within. It does not need to be protected from the world because it has turned itself into a world-creating force. Now you know the theory, but knowing is not enough. The passage from the last man to the Overman, from the fragile mind to the unbreakable one, is not an intellectual exercise. It is a brutal and lonely process of rebellion. It is a journey into your own abyss. This rebellion begins when you stop running. You must turn inward and consciously face the parts of yourself that you have been taught to despise. You must sit with your shame, your rage, your pettiness, your terror. You must do this without judgment and without flinching. This is not about indulging these drives. It is about understanding them. It is about interrogating them. What does your anger want? What is your despair trying to tell you? In a sense, you must become a psychologist of your own soul. This is the path of self-overcoming. It is a constant, relentless struggle against your own limitations, your own laziness, your own desire for comfort. Every day, you must choose the difficult path over the easy one. You must force yourself to do what you fear. You must impose discipline on your own impulses, not to kill them, but to train them, to make them serve your higher purpose. And as you walk this path, something will begin to happen. You will become incomprehensible to the people around you. They, who are still trapped in the morality of comfort, will not understand your choices. They will see your embrace of difficulty as madness. They will see your self-discipline as cruelty. They will see your ambition as arrogance. When you no longer share their fear of pain, you no longer speak their language. You are moving beyond their simplistic definitions of good and evil. You must be prepared for this isolation. This is the loneliness of the eagle that flies above the sheep. They will call you cold, selfish, dangerous, and in a way, they are right. You are dangerous to their world of comfortable illusions. Your very existence is a critique of their weakness. This is the price of true freedom. It is the pain of rebirth, the necessary agony that comes from tearing off the old skin to allow the new one to grow. You will lose the warmth of the herd, but you will gain the power of the heavens. It is a terrifying trade, and only the strongest souls have the courage to make it. We began this journey seeking a simple technique for an unbreakable mind. What we have uncovered is something infinitely more profound and far more demanding. A complete philosophy for the transfiguration of the human spirit. An unbreakable mind is not a final destination. It is not a static state of being like a fortress made of stone. That is the dead ideal of a fearful soul. The unbreakable mind is a dynamic process. It is a fire. It is a dance. It is the perpetual activity of creation and self-overcoming. Let us summarize the path. You learned that the modern world's obsession with comfort is a trick that makes you fragile and contemptible, the last man. You learned the first weapon of your rebellion, Amor Fati, the love of fate, which allows you to transmute all external chaos and suffering into fuel for your own power. And most critically, you learned the ultimate secret. Your psyche is not a single self to be placated, but a chaotic army of drives to be commanded. You learned that the greatest strength lies in harnessing this inner war and directing its immense energy toward the creation of your own values, your own purpose, giving birth to a dancing star from the chaos within. This is a path of terrifying beauty. It asks everything of you. It promises no safety, only strength. It offers no easy answers, only endless, glorious struggle. It is the choice to stop being a creature that is acted upon by the world and to become a creator of worlds. It is the courage to look into the abyss of existence, into the chaos of your own soul, and not only to endure it, but to affirm it, to love it, and to build something magnificent in its very heart. This journey is not for everyone. It is for those who hear a call to something more. It is for those who would rather burn out like a meteor than flicker for a century like a dim candle. If this call resonates in the deepest part of your being, if you are tired of being fragile, tired of seeking comfort, and ready to finally claim your own terrifying power, then make a declaration. Write it in the comments below, not for me, but for you. Write, I will become a dancing star. Join a community of individuals who are done with the life of the last man. It is time to stop running from the chaos. It is time to start dancing with it.